Welcome to Let's Talk Property, an informal podcast show all about the UK property and mortgage market. I'm Nizam, and joining me is my co-host Lee. Whether you're a seasoned property investor or just starting to think about buying your first home, this podcast is for you. We'll be discussing a range of topics, including the latest market trends, tips for finding the perfect property, and how to secure the best mortgage deals. So join us as we explore the world of property and help you make informed decisions about your next property purchase. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about the Property Ombudsman Code of Practice for Estate Agents, which sounds riveting.
That's a big subject, though. I mean, it's a huge subject, isn't it? So, yeah,
it is.
I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to how you...
So go on.
I was going to say, I'm just looking forward to this one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Good. And it seems to be in the news again, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen it of late. I think, admittedly, agents are probably getting a little bit quieter, and some of the less credible ones might be starting to bend the rules a little bit.
I think we might be on to something there, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
But absolutely, and look, you know, it's a big old booklet. I've read through some of it. I won't say I've read through all of it, and I've got it up and I've highlighted bits of it. So I just wanted to, I guess, talk through what the rules are for credible, like you said, credible estate agents that should be following. And there's a couple of areas I specifically want to focus on, more focused around buyers. So how does it impact on buyers? What happens when you put an offer forward, and what are the obligations that a credible TPO estate agent, which is the Property Ombudsman registered estate agent, which a lot of them will be, what practices should they follow? And having that education is going to help you to be able to challenge back where you feel that they may not be complying where they should be.
That's great, because who is to know? Particularly if you're buying your first home or first, you don't know what the agent's sort of obligations are, or you kind of think they're just doing their job. But you're absolutely right. It's kind of what should they adhere to and what processes should they follow. So I'm looking forward to this. Should be a good one.
Yeah, excellent. Shall we dive in?
Yeah, go for it.
It's probably going to be a short one. So the first thing I wanted to talk through, I guess, was an introduction to who is the Property Ombudsman, and effectively and also what is this code of practice and who does it apply to. So Property Ombudsman is a body that's set up by the government to basically, make sure that if there are any complaints that a consumer has, whether it's a buyer or a seller, against an estate agent, that they are not settled between the two parties, and actually the ombudsman will be there to review those complaints and uphold whatever decision is required, and then order, an estate agent may need to pay compensation, or actually they might say the estate agent is well within their rights to do what they did. So that's who the Property Ombudsman is. You also have a financial ombudsman. You have lots of different ombudsmans for different regulatory, different industries. This code of practice is basically, the way they've explained it, it's the code of practice is mandatory for all Property Ombudsman members who are entitled to display the above TPO and approved code logos, which is like a little blue logo which says the Property Ombudsman, in their estate agency window, and that work in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So as always, Scotland is playing by its own rules when it comes to the property side. But yeah, no, this is what I guess first thing I did is looked at how many agents are TPO registered, because it's not something I've ever looked for. I don't know about you.
I guess it's no. I mean, I can't say I've gone in that depth in terms of is the agent sort of TPO or anything like that. I guess they're there to protect the buyers, aren't they, and make sure the agents are adhering to sort of particular rules and are compliant and everything else. So I guess they're there to protect the people who are buying, aren't they, and using their service.
Exactly that. And actually it is both buyers and sellers, because the sellers are also paying the agents for a service, and the agent has to make sure they're adhering to the service. And it's things like what it also covers, which we won't go into, things like the contracts and terms and the fees they charge. So there's there's actually quite a lot of protection for both sides of the transaction, if you like. So that's great. I'll just dive in. So just to be really clear, what it does say is this code compromises of two elements. So there's a best practice, which is these are standards set above the minimum level required by law. And then you've got legal obligations. So they're the standards that are set by law. So anyone that's registered or shows the TPO logo in their window, if you're looking at an estate agent, if they've got the property ombudsman or any sort of material they give you, they will be compliant with both of these levels, if that makes sense.
So that's good to know. It's good to something to look out for when you're looking at it or dealing with agents. Is that TPO certification, as it were, I suppose.
Definitely. And like I said, I did a little bit of research around our local area, so around Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, how many estate agents are actually registered with TPO, because I thought, well, if I come on and talk about this, then actually you only find 5 or 6 people or agents are actually registered. But actually it's the majority. It's your big agents are all registered, your smaller agents, your independents, they are, almost all of them are on there, and will kind of proudly display that they're a TPO member. So if I dive in then, so I think the first thing I wanted to look at was section 9, which is offers. So this is a legal requirement. So just to be really clear, this is not something that just TPO agents need to comply with. This is something that any and every estate agent needs to comply with in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So by law, you must tell, and this is aimed at the agent, so by law, you must tell sellers as soon as is reasonably possible about all offers you receive at any time until contracts have been exchanged, unless the offer is an amount or a type which the seller has specifically instructed you in writing not to pass on. So that first one is just about actually highlighting when a property is taken off the market, it is taken off the market, but actually that is where we talk about gazumping. So that's where we talk about actually anyone can still come in and put an offer forward. And unless the seller has written to the agent to say, don't tell me about any more offers, they still have an obligation to pass that on.
Interesting. That's interesting. Because you would think as soon as it's sort of tied in, well, exchange of contracts is like when the property is sort of legally bound, isn't it? Or legally tied in.
Exactly.
So it's interesting to see, particularly when someone's already accepted an offer, actually, you can still put an offer forward even if they're halfway through the process.
You'll probably get told it's a no, I'd imagine. But it does, as we both know, working in the industry, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
This one is really, really key. So, so by law, you can, and again, this is a legal one. By law, you cannot make it, and this is one I really wanted to focus on. You cannot make it a condition of passing on offers to the seller that the buyer must use services offered by you or another party. So it then goes on to say you must not discriminate or threaten to discriminate, which is key, against the buyer because that person declines to accept that you will, directly or indirectly, provide related services to them. And then it says discrimination includes, but it's not limited to, the following: failing to tell the seller of an offer to buy the property, telling the seller of an offer less quickly than others you've received, misrepresenting the nature of the offer or that of arrival offers, or giving details of properties for sale first to buyers who have indicated they're prepared to let you provide services to them. In a nutshell, what that is saying is, if you are told that you need to use the mortgage advisor in-house with an estate agent, or if they directly or indirectly say or suggest that you will hear about properties first because you're using their solicitor or you're using their mortgage advisor, or actually, or it will work in your favor because we'll present your offer quicker or we'll present your offer first, it's illegal. So by law, they are not allowed to discriminate you as a buyer because you have rejected to use their solicitor, their estate agent, their surveyor. And that one is one that I think is the hidden gem in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing it a lot. I think even for ourselves as mortgage advisors, but it's a really big thing at the moment. Using in-house services, and if you use in-house services, we will almost up our service, or we'll give you a preferential offer, or it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's not putting the buyer or seller's best interest at heart, is it really? So, particularly if you're a buyer and you've already got a mortgage advisor, or you've got a really good solicitor, it could be a friend, it could be, someone else, and you really have trust in them. And then you've got someone who's coming along and say, well, we're not going to put your offer forward, or, we're going to delay your offer, or, we're not going to treat you the same because you're using your friend as a mortgage advisor, or bearing in mind, it's a qualified mortgage advisor and a qualified solicitor. Both these people are qualified to do the job. And an agent's not allowing you to put your offer forward, or allowing you to use their service is bonkers. Yeah, it's bonkers.
And it's not just wrong; it's illegal as well, which is great.
Yeah.
Now you have that empowerment as a buyer to say, right, I know I can safely reject all of these services, and by law they have to still put that offer forward. So absolutely right. But imagine, like you said, how many people will not know that. I imagine 98% of the people that walk into an estate agent office will feel pressured, not necessarily by all estate agents, but they'll feel pressured at some point to use services, particularly by some of the more notorious ones. I won't name them, but we know that there are certain names that come up again and again. And actually, we're seeing, like you said earlier, as estate agents the good ones are thriving. The ones that may not be doing so well may be resorting to more sort of underhand tactics, or trying to up their profit in other areas, such as, forcing people to use their financial services or their broker.
Yeah, it's buying your first home or buying your next home is stressful enough. When you've got the added pressure of saying you need to use our in-house services, or you need to use our solicitor or our mortgage advisor, it's just another headache, particularly if we've already been through that process with a friend or a mortgage advisor you've already got, and you've kind of gone through the process. They've already qualified you. They've got you ready. They've got you ready to buy a house. And then someone comes along and says, well, actually, we won't entertain you looking at our properties because you're not using our mortgage advisor, or you're not using our solicitor. It is just adds so much more stress, and it's unnecessary. It's really unnecessary.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. And I guess, just to be really, really clear then, the kind of the point I would take from all of this, there's so much more in here, but the point I would take from all of this is that an estate agent does have an obligation to verify where your funds are coming from. So if you walk into an estate agent office and say, I viewed this house last week, I really, really like it, it's on for 250k, I want to offer 250k for it, just to make the number easy. They will need to understand from you, okay, who are you? So they'll need to verify your identity. That is something they should all be doing. That is something that you should expect them to do as a buyer. They will also be looking at proof of funds. So if you've got a deposit, if you're taking a mortgage, they will usually want to see an agreement in principle. But if like you said, if you've already had the conversations with an advisor, you've got a good relationship with someone that you want to use, and you've presented an agreement in principle, or even their contact details, to verify the funds, that should be enough for an estate agent as well. But also proof of deposit. If you've got money being gifted, they might ask you for bank statements. They might ask you to see your savings accounts. All of that is normal. We're not saying that they shouldn't be doing that. That is all correct. But actually, the bit that it steps over across that line is when they start to say, you have to come in and speak to our mortgage advisor. If you don't have an agreement in principle and you can't prove funds, fair enough. That's a fair enough request. But if you're walking in and you've already had those conversations, you've had a mortgage pre-approved, you've got your proof of funds, you've got your proof of ID, they shouldn't be pressuring you to use their advisor. And actually, by law, they can't treat you any differently if you don't.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's good to know by law. That's the thing. It's thinking, it doesn't sound right. If you're buying for the first time, you're like, that doesn't sound right. but actually it's illegal, as you say. It's not right. It's illegal. So it's good to have that. Particularly if you're listening to this as a first-time buyer and home mover, it's good to have that in your back pocket if you do come across that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say print this off and then literally take it in your back pocket with you and slap it out on the table if they do start questioning stuff. But yeah, so I think we're probably that was, like I said, that anyone can access this code of practice. All you need to do is Google the Property Ombudsman Code of Practice for Estate Agents and read up on your rights. I always think education and having that kind of knowledge is power. It puts you in a really good position as a buyer. You understand a bit more around the process and what's expected, and also you can then sort of push back when you're starting to feel pressured. And if you've got a great advisor or a solicitor, like you said, or a friend or someone that is quite experienced, then lean on them as well, because I'm sure that they'll be able to help you push back and where you should be pushing back anyway.
That's a great tip.
Brilliant. Excellent. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Lee, before we wrap up?
No, I just think there's so much. I think not. I was going to get my words out. I don't think many people know about that. I think they just kind of deal with it and go, okay, this is what the agent said. It doesn't feel right, but I don't want to lose out on the property. You should not be losing out on a property because you have to use their mortgage advisor or their solicitor. That's the fact. And as you quite rightly said, it's illegal. So I think it's going to be great for people to know that. I think it's becoming more prevalent now. The market is quieter, and maybe the estate agents aren't as busy. And they, as you say, they're doing these underhand tactics, sales tactics to try and force buyers to use their in-house services. Yeah, absolutely. Good episode.
And we may see more and more on that in the news as well, hopefully, because I know a lot of advisors and brokers are pushing for this to be exposed, and there's a few whistleblowers out there. So yeah, good luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
Bro, cool. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, me on the outro. It's been a little while, but
it's been a while. Good luck.
Great episode, yeah. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Property. We hope you found the discussion on the UK property market informative and helpful. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to send us a message. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and follow us on social media for updates on future episodes. Until next time, we'll see you in
the property market.
Bit rusty.
Yeah, it's been a while.